Welcome everyone. It looks like we are live. It looks like audio is working. I'll wait just a moment to make sure that is. My chair thing is falling apart again. Let's see. Any notices yet on audio and everything working okay? Maybe. Am I talking to myself? I might be. There's a delay too, so you guys, by the time you see this, may be answering, so it looks like I keep asking even though people are answering, but right now. Okay, Dolphin Soul says we hear you. Good. Okay, so tonight we are going to be drawing a cute little baby duck in pan pastel and colored pencil. This is a 5x7. After I'm finished with the project, I'm going to show you how I mat this. I have a link for the mats that I use in the video description, so if you want to check that out. I usually get like a 25, I think it's a 25 pack or 50 pack. I don't know. One of those, but those are really nice if you especially are selling your work. So when you ship it to somebody, it feels much more complete than, let's say you do a portrait for somebody and you just send them the finished drawing. It doesn't present as nicely. So for not a lot of money, you can get a ton of these mats and it makes your work look so much nicer. And so when they open the whatever they bought from you, it's going to look a lot more professional. And it doesn't cost you that much more money to do. So this is going to be available for auction. So as I get going with it, if you think it looks nice and you want it in your home, you can bid on it. If you're in the US, link is in the video description to bid. Let's see, but now I'm frozen. Am I really though, or is it? No, refresh. Marie, well, if I'm frozen, you can't see that. But because it's a on your end looking thing, it seems. Okay. So the first thing that I did on this was to draw the little baby duck, and I drew it on a piece of tracing paper because the Inktense MeWe that I'm working on is really thick. So you can't really like put that on a light box or trace it at all that way. And I wouldn't want to freehand it on this paper because if you're doing a lot of erasing on it, it's pretty obvious. It looks like absolute crap. And the whole goal is to make it look professional. That's like hence the whole mat thing. So it won't matter how nice your mat is if the drawing has eraser marks all over. So by drawing it on a piece of tracing paper, you can freehand it on there or trace it, whatever you're comfortable with. I only care that it comes out accurate. And then I used a piece of white transfer paper to transfer the main image onto the paper. Now I always want this to be a little bit bigger than whatever the opening is on my mat. That way, like as I adjust it in the mat, if I move it up or down a little bit, I don't have plain paper showing. We also, from Kathy Davis, said, can we get it the night started with treats for the pups? They just got new treats too. Let's see. I don't know. Do you boys want a super chat? Looks like they do. Thank you so much, Kathy. Okay, treats for the boys. We got new ones and they're crumbling. Stop trying to take it. I'm breaking it. Oh, this is going to make a mess. Oh, and my fingers just went all the way in Wade's mouth. We'll just wipe that off. At least he didn't chomp them this time. He gently took the crumbles and my fingers. Good boy. Okay, go lay down, bad cow. Lay down. Thank you so much, Kathy. I probably should have brought a knife. These ones, they're ones that are big enough, they really should be broken in half, and they are just, they're very crumbly, this batch. Okay, Gibson, lay down. There you go. He took his treat to the bed and was just gonna keep licking a million pieces off. Okay, actually, let me move this a little bit. Nope, that's the wrong button. There's the button I wanted. I don't know why that ended up down. Let's actually double check and make sure the easel didn't slide. Nope, the easel is good. Okay. So once you get your image cleanly onto your paper, and this is Inktense MeWe, I'm working on the smooth side. It's a gray paper. It's kind of a warm gray. It looks way too light. Let me see about changing really quick. When I set up for the live streams, the lighting in here is very different than when it starts getting darker out and I end up having to readjust stuff. So let's see if that will help. Nope. It is wanting it to be way too bright. So let's see if I can darken that a little bit. I'm trying to get it as accurate as possible. It's kind of close. Whoa, not that warm. I'm trying to get, it is kind of a warmer gray, actually very neutral gray I guess is better, but that looks a little bit like a cool gray on the camera. Now that's a little too warm. Trying to make it accurate. You know, we're going with good enough on that. That's pretty close. Oh, and we have, Rick said Gibson and Wade need some more treats or Treatos. What do you boys think? Do you want to super chat again? So, funny story, speaking of that, this morning, treats is the word that I use when I'm talking about, it's the word for the boys don't actually know what the word treat means, because they know super chat, they know cookie is like the main one. Those are the two that we'll use for them. Go lay down. Earlier, I told Matt, and I said it out loud, like this is a clear thing. Lay down, Gibson. Thank you so much, Rick, for the puppy super chat. Lay down, lay down, lay down. You guys already paid for the new box of treats I had overnighted because I was running low for today. I had their normal ones, just not these. Anyway, move on with the story, Lisa. So I told Matt, I overnighted their treats from Amazon. Gibson heard the word treat, comes running out of nowhere, licking his lips, and it's like, the dog is a freaking genius. I'm pretty sure he can spell too. He should not know what that word means because I don't use that. That's the secret word that he shouldn't know. Anyway, no one cares. Move on, Lisa. Thank you guys again for that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the background water, and I'm going to be using a bit of, this is the burnt sienna. I've got some gray and some black and a bit of white. Okay, so just looking at that, deciding what I want to layer first. Now my soft tools that I'm using, these are kind of like using a palette knife, and they're very dirty. I'm just wiping them on a paper towel right now. You can see getting that clean. This is so dark on here. I don't care that they're dirty. That actually works out fine. So we'll just load a little bit of my pan pastels. And what I will usually do when I first load them is just tap a little bit in case there's just a ton on there. And let's start sketching out about where we want this to be. And I want to let some of the gray of the paper show through. I chose this specific color because that was the gray I wanted. Like, that sounds really stupid. That was the gray I wanted to show through these colors. I'm not trying to completely cover it all the way. Let's see, this one had, I think this is the white. Wait, where's the white? This is just kind of a mess of, let's see, right around here. That is where the white, okay, so I can come down a little bit lower. And I just want to make sure as I get streaks in here, they're long, horizontal, short, diagonal. You don't want a bunch of completely diagonal strokes in here. Just really soft in here, letting that gray peek through. If you're using a white piece of paper, that's fine too. You're just going to put your color on a bit thicker or let more white show, that works. Okay, let's see, we've got some around the front here. Now notice on the reflection of the duck, this should not be an exact, like just flipping it over of this. When you're talking about reflections, in this case, the water's below the duck, you're gonna be seeing a reflection coming from under. So you're seeing part of the underside of his beak, which is part of why his beak is shaped differently. Don't try to mimic them exactly. It's not just a complete reversal, and it's one of the easy ways to tell. Like, you'll see these really pretty photography things. I see them all the time on Twitter because that's mainly what I look at Twitter for, and like really pretty photography. But you'll get these people who are posting where they just flipped the image in the water and it's a complete reversal. That is not what a mirrored reflection would look like. It's a good way to know something was completely photoshopped. And not in a good way. I'm going to pull a little bit of magenta into there, not too much. I'm really happy with the gray of this paper. That is definitely going to work out. Dolphin Soul asked if it would be better on white or black paper if she didn't have gray. I would personally do black, but white would work too. I mean, it's such a personal preference thing. If it were me, I would go with black, but that's just, again, personal preference. I'm adding a little bit of magenta again in with that, and I just mix them right in the pans. Yeah, my pans get dirty, but it doesn't really affect the artwork. I know people get weirded out by that, wanting everything clean all the time. There's really no need. I guess I don't need this white here anymore. I had the piece of white paper trying to help the computer, or not the computer, well, I guess the computer, the program to realize or get the white balance right. It failed. It was good in theory. See, I'm just really lightly going around the other areas here. And I'm going to pull a little bit of green, like maybe a tealy green. Got some of that green oxide and phthalo green or phthalo blue. And I'm going to get just a little bit because in the big picture there was this hint of green and I thought it was pretty up against the reds. I just want a little bit of that. And then we have from Oriole Beagle. I have to say quiet there, now I can see. Gibson already knows. I swear, dog is a mind reader. Do you want a super chat? Thank you so much, Oriole Beagle. Boys, thank you too. These are stale. I think that's the problem when you order these from Amazon. They're just not as fresh this time. I think that's why they're crumbly, because they're supposed to be a soft one. Go lay down. Lay down. See, thank you so much. They don't apparently care at all. Then again, bad cow eats poop, so his taste is questionable. Lay down. Okay. Let's see. And if you have any questions, you can leave them now. I'll be answering them at the end, like once I'm done with the artwork. I'm going to use a smaller, the little angled triangle brush and start filling in. There's kind of a muddy green. It's just a lot of darker colors in here. I'm just picking up a bunch of colors to start filling in this area. A lot of that's going to get defined with a colored pencil later, so I'm not worried about it being perfect. Look at these two. They're just staring, both of them now. They're both aimed at me. It doesn't look like it, but they're both facing me like, okay, when's the next one? I'm just, again, side by side. No! Oh my God, I just updated this computer. Do not force an update while I'm working. Gotta love Windows. What, you're doing something? How about an update right now? Even though you just updated yesterday. And mostly just focusing on the tip there. Just getting some of these darks in here. And I don't care if they're perfect because I will clean a lot of this up with my pencils. Just getting the hint of where these little lines go. And I don't need them exact to the reference photo. I really just need them to be close. Like, and by close, I mean they just need to go the right direction. Add a little bit of white to that. Right in that area. I can actually start blocking in the white. Now I'm gonna wipe the light, or the color I had off. I'm gonna start putting some definite white in here. I love how opaque the pan pastels are. It just shows up so nicely. I want that looking like it's going out that direction a bit more, and then same thing here, kind of fanning out that way. See, I'm hitting this side a little bit brighter. I'm not just trying to make it white all the way through. We'll define the shape with the pencils later, but I want to pay attention to where the lights and darks are, like where is it really light and where is it really dark. Not so much the individual lines and details at this stage. Okay, we're going to have little sparkles all over the place. Just little circles. This is going to make it look shiny. And I'll reload for some of them to be extra white. And I'm not trying to make them all super bright. Some of them I want to be bright white, but not all of them. I want variation in those little dots. Okay, let's start getting some of the light areas on the duck. The detail will be done with the colored pencils, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting this all perfect. I'm going to flip it over and use the back end of this for the black. So one side has the light, the other side has the dark. Yeah, the sound can't go up any further than what I've got it. It's full blast. I actually did check that earlier. My reference photo, as usual, is linked in the video description. No, I will not take off the dogs from the screen so that you can have the reference photo on the screen. You can go download the reference photo and put it anywhere on that screen that you like. I get messaged that. Like, you would not believe how many people send me messages during the week asking for that. The boys are a part of the live stream. Like my normal lessons, there are no hounds. I mean, I still don't put it on the screen. You would be able to download the reference photo, but yeah, you guys seriously would not believe the amount of messages I get. I mean, I make it sound like it's crazy. I get like 3 messages a week of people asking, and everyone's always very polite. So it's not like I sound like I've got an attitude, and I don't mean to. They're actually weirdly polite about it, but also no. I am not going to swap the boys out for a reference photo, although, funny now that I say that, when I'm done with the Pastels, I will be, because the colored pencils block that camera, I will be putting the reference photo up there, so I do have it ready for that. I'm just looking at where my general lights and darks are going to go. Don't worry about details or anything like that just yet. I want to use some brown and gray mixed together. Yes, as Rick said, we love you, Lisa, but the boys are the real star of the live stream. Exactly. I need a little bit more white in with that gray. That's a little too dark. It's not showing up on my paper. There we go. So we get that nice little fuzz. We have from Karen Montoya Paints has a super chat. Thank you so much. No, Cal. You lay down. I did not invite you up yet. Good try, though. There we go. Okay, now come get your super chat. Thank you so much. Cal tried to be sneaky there. You're being very gentle tonight. You've been pretty chompy taking your treats lately, so this is good. Don't take Brothers if he dropped it. Go lay down. 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 Today. Down. Oh, you are making such a mess of this floor. Go lay down. Actually, I think I'm making the mess, getting crumbs everywhere. Okay. Back to the softness. So I'm using more white. Gibson, down. Slowest race dogs ever. This is why you flunked racing school. Okay, so there is that. I'm going to wipe this off. I actually really like this sponge for this. So I'm going to switch over to the golden tones. Now you may look at this and think yellow. No, not yellow. Again, reference photos linked in the video description. It's free. You can go get it. I am going to be using mainly, I can use a little bit of yellow ochre, but I think I'll avoid that because it gets too yellowy. Again, with that one is the burnt sienna, and I'll be mixing white with that. for his tiny little water chicken face. So I'm making a cream color, a little bit of, and that's the yellow oxide, not yellow, because I get crazy. And I would rather be a little bit too dark than too light here, because that way I can put my light pencils right over it. Right under the neck, that same color. We'll pull a little bit into some of these feathers, not too crazy. Most of those are black and white. And then more white here, although I think I'm going to go with more of a brown so that the white pencil shows up. So it's going to look way too dark, but I want it just to be a little, not quite as light as what I want it to be, so I can do the highlights with the white pencil. Okay, and now we need magenta and red oxide. I'm going to mix those two together. For the beak, this will not be very clean. I'll get most of that done with the pencils. Got some of these darks in here. And then let's get the dark started. Let's see, you are really darkened through here. And this is going to be much softer, much less detail as we work our way down. I'm just going to wipe that soft tool off. I'm not changing in between there. I'm just trying to watch the direction of these feathers so they go in about the right direction, but they're still, it's a very soft look in through here. And this is going to be a bit darker on this portion of the cheek than what it is up here, although I do want to go even darker than what I've got. And then we've got the dark areas around. And let's see, right on the top of the head here. A little bit in the beak. Again, I don't need it exact, I just need close. And then I'm going to switch over to white. It still has some of the red oxide mixed in with it. Just really soft here. I want the softness just blending in with the water. And then, let's see, I'm going to wipe more of that red oxide off and go with straight white. Okay, and I think pretty much the rest of this I can do with the colored pencils. I can always come back if I want more circles or anything like that later. I do want some of these to be a bit brighter though. Okay, let's go ahead. I think that's actually a little bit of white here. Okay, that's probably good enough to go ahead and start with the pencil. So let me put all of this stuff away. Give me just a moment here. turn this camera off and pull up, give me 1 second, palette. And there's the photo in its place. Okay. And I can always come back once I start working on the duck if I decide that I want something to be more bold or like softer really is what I would do. I can still come back and do that. So let me grab a piece of glassine and a piece of tape. Now, glassine is acid-free, pH neutral. That's not redundant at all. This is going to keep the oils from my skin off the artwork, but it's also going to keep me from smudging anything. So it serves two purposes there. If I can get the thing off the tape. And I get it in a roll. It should be linked in the video description, maybe. Tape is stuck to it. And I just rip a piece off. But this is going to allow me to rest my hand. Just tape that to my board. Not the artwork. There we go. Okay, so right now everything should look out of focus. That will all be fixed as I start coming in with detail. Let's see. Oh, before I start though, I want to take my, let's actually remove the glassine. I want to take my Spectrafix. This is a fixative, and I have it in a fine mist sprayer so that I don't get that heavy, like heavy drops all over the place. And I'm just going to lightly go over that. I'm going a bit heavier than I recommend you do, but if I mess it up, I know how to fix it, so I'm not too worried about it. And let's dry this. Now, drying this doesn't just speed everything along, which is certainly a bonus, but the other thing is that it's keeping, it's not sitting even, what's that caught on? It is keeping, there it is, got a pencil thing in there. It's keeping the paper back, or it makes it dry back into shape because this paper is really absorbent, so when you spray anything wet on it, it soaks it and warps, and that fixes it. Okay, let's move you out of the way. So now I can go back to taping this. Now, colors, I'm going to be primarily using my my polychromos just because I want finer detail for a lot of this. If I need something to be more opaque, then I'll switch over. I've got my Derwent drawing out. I don't think I brought my Caran d'Ache luminance. They're still over there, but if I need to, I can grab them too. But for the most part, polychromos are going to be my go-to on this. Let's grab, that is not white, warm gray 1. I was correct there. It was close. All my whites are like tiny little pencils right now. So I've got my black and my white. I am going to definitely be pulling some magentas into this. I think I just saw that magenta. It was hiding. Oh, you're hiding. You're not actually called magenta. You're called red violet. But I want, whenever I'm using orangey tones, oranges, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more with the oranges than what the reference photo has, kind of, I'm always going to be using some magentas in with that. And so let's see, what color do I want? Just really orange. I might use, yeah, I'll probably at least use it on the beak. So this one is cadmium, light cadmium red. I will, moving forward, be calling that orange. We've got, that looks like a useful color. This is burnt carmine. We'll be using that. You do not need to use the same colors. You could put mortem because always. As long, go for close. Look at your picture and do you see a tan color? If you see yellow, you're wrong. That's the only one I'm going to say you're wrong on, unless it's like a muted yellow ochre or something like that. And even that's more iffy, but like raw sienna, this one would be perfect. This is burnt ochre, so a little bit of an ochre in there. You want something you can see there. It's not yellow yellow. We don't want this. That is not going to look cute. I mean, okay, let's be fair, if you get your values right, it'll still be cute. It just won't look natural. Like that bright yellow, we don't see a whole lot in animals. And some birds, they're the most common that you're going to see it in, birds and fish. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Let's hang on and not do that if we don't need to. That's probably good for now. And I'm going to be using, I've got my purple from Karen, I'm sorry, that is, my brain just totally shut down. Derwent Lightfast. It is the best. I love this purple. They're purple and nightshade. I use them in almost everything, purple for sure. So definitely is a must-have pencil for me. And then the sharpeners I'll be using tonight are these little Coom handheld sharpeners, but some of them, actually that one might be Faber-Castell. No, that one's Coom. These are, I need to start like actually putting the bad ones to the side that need their blades replaced, because when they start splitting pencils, if you have fabric or polychromos pencils start to split or break, you know it's a bad sharpener. Like those pencils are not prone to breaking. So if that is happening to you, change your sharpener. It's got a dull blade. Okay, and I'm going to start with that little highlight on the eye. I'm getting my face right up to that. That's so tiny. And then I'll go around that with the black. And I'm going to be mostly burnishing here. I'm not going to be doing much. I don't think I'll be using OMS at all. Normally I do when I'm getting something more realistic, but in a case like this, it's just so tiny. Burnishing will be easier, and that just means pushing harder on the pencil, so you're flattening the tooth of the paper. That is a good and a bad thing. It makes it look smooth, but it also flattens it so that you can't get more detail on top of that. This pencil is not really sharp. You know what I need? So you may see these and think they're for sharpening your blending tools. That is not what they're for. These, if I can find one, where did I put them? This is one of the things I remember moving somewhere else when I reorganized, thinking, oh, I'm so smart for putting all these here. I don't remember where I put them though. My little sandpapery guys. Where did I put them? All somewhere? This is why I am not allowed to reorganize things. Like seriously, Matt doesn't let me reorganize anything. Like sometimes I'll want to go in and clean his room because it's a freaking mess. He hates when I do that because then he can't find anything because I lose everything. Like seriously, I felt so smart putting them all together. But that means I lost them all. Oh, here they all are. That's a bunch of them too. Okay, so these little things typically come with your like blending stumps. First off, blending stumps don't usually work in most cases for colored pencil real well. So if you're a colored pencil artist and you have a bunch of blending stumps and you're trying to get it to blend, there's a reason it's not working out real well for you. Not its intended use. But these guys, these are not for sharpening the blending stumps. They're for sharpening your pencils. You can use it for colored pencil, you can use it for Inktense, you could use it for graphite, whatever, but you're going to get the sharpest tip on your pencil that way. Now, I still use my pencil sharpener. I'm not saying you wouldn't use those, but that, like, I don't have to continuously use the sharpener every time I want the pencil just the tip just a little bit sharper. I'm going to do it again with the black, so we'll just... This eye is such a tiny, tiny area, so I need that pencil really sharp, and I've got to push a decent amount harder than usual in order to get that to really show up. And there's a line right under that white line. Let's see. This one. Let me see if I can get that. Probably can't get it more in focus because we all know how webcams like to focus for us, but I can try. Not really. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Just take my word for it. That's a sharp line that I'm putting in there. And then I'll start pushing a little bit harder as I come in through here. I want to watch the direction of the fur, or the feathers. It's just like fur. These guys are very fluffy. So the way that I'm making these marks are the same way that I would make like a koala fur. Very dense, very, very fluffy. Let's get that beak in there. Let's see. got this highlight in here. So I'm just going to lightly go over that. And then I'm going to use, this one was Burnt Carmine. And it's just kind of a, I don't know, pinkish brick red. This is why they won't let me name things. Just got some little detail. Now, I'm not going to put this level of detail everywhere, just around the face. I'll loosen up as I move my way out. Now, none of these colors are terribly opaque. If I want something to be more opaque, and I kind of do right there, I'm going to switch to something that has a higher wax content. And I know Derwent like to confuse everybody and say that they're Derwent Lightfast or oil-based. All colored pencils have a mixture of oil, wax, clay, all of that. And when we talk about something being oil-based or wax-based, this is in a term artists use. It's more of a how much oil versus how much wax in each individual pencil. Something that has a higher oil-based content is going to be a harder lead. It's great for fine detail, but it doesn't usually blend out with like OMS quite as smoothly as your higher wax-based pencils, which are more opaque. And again, oil-based, I don't think I mentioned that, oil-based tend to be more translucent. The more opaque pencils are going to have a higher wax content. To me, Derwent Lightfast is somewhere in the middle of oil and wax. It's just like the most beautiful combination of the two, but I would not call them, I know they list them as Lightfast, but I wouldn't list them as that. Like in practice, in use, in the term that we're talking, like what we expect to see in a, what's it called, in a, my brain just shut down. In an oil-based pencil, that is not how these pencils behave. And that's not a bad thing. It's just how it is. But it makes it confusing for sure when people are talking about oil versus wax base. Okay, let's sharpen this pencil. So this one is dusky pink. I just dropped my sharpener in my cup of shadings. There we go. Okay. So let's get a little, I want it a little bit lighter right there. I'm not pushing very hard where I want to just darken it a little bit with this black pencil and define the edges, and then I'll come around with the white. I actually need a more opaque white though, so I'm going to use my Derwent Lightfast. I've got to sharpen that first. Oh, and we have from Kristen. Wade's completely passed out. You want a super chat? Thank you so much, Kristen. Kirsten, God, I'm never going to get that right. I'm just going to rename you because I can't say it. Oh, I wonder if this is going to be a terrible idea. I have a razor blade sitting here. Let's chop it now. Wade backs up. He's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Ooh, it worked. A nice, perfectly chopped treat. There you go. Did you get good super chat? Say thank you. Okay, I'm forever keeping that razor blade there for that purpose. Okay, go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Gibson, today. Go on. Gibson, today. And the slowest race dog ever. Unless he wants something. Let's go back to this. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, I was sharpening, the white. Let's define that just a bit. There we go. Make that beak stand out a little bit more. Okay. And this is actually going to be a better pencil for a lot of the little hair because it's going to show it better. These are teeny tiny short little hairs. Do not be tempted to draw big long lines because it'll save time. Some of these are so short, it's just almost dots because it's so dense and that little bit of fluff is facing at the viewer. Did I say tense? I mean dense. Words are hard. I'm letting some of that background color show through, but this gives me that hint of texture. Oops, broke the lid. Let's see, he's got a little bit of a highlight here under that eye. Again, super short, really dense. Some of these are just little dots. Another little kind of smiley shape here. And then we'll start coming through with some of the shadows. So some of this I'm going to be doing the caput mortem. That should be sharpened first. I'm going to start focusing on where these deeper shadows are. This is where we start getting dimension. This isn't about put the right color in the right place. That's how you draw a cartoon. We want to start getting some dimension in here. The detail isn't even as important. It's where are your lights and where are your darks. That is what's going to separate your work from somebody's who looks like a beginner cartoon type. And that does not matter what medium you're working in, that is always going to be true. But people always want to get hung up on the perfect color. What color did you use? I need to know a list of your colors. I don't list them out before I start because I don't know what colors I'm going to choose before I start. Let's go to that brighter orange. I'm going to grab what looks like it'll just be convenient for me at the time. But it doesn't need to be the perfect color. If I'm using an orangey tone, grab an orangey tone. Close is close enough. Pretty much all the time. Unless you're using yellow, then you're wrong. Like seriously, if you're drawing a yellow lab and you use the color yellow at all, I question you. Unless it's like in sunset where there's yellow, like definite yellow lighting on them, then fine. But that is a rare case. Let's start getting some of this floof. Now watch how these clump and cluster together. Don't overdo this. Less is more. Does anyone else hate when people say that? But it's very true. Little mohawk guy. I'm going to switch this one. I had it out on accident, warm gray one, but it'll work. I'm going to go through here. This is the polychromos. And the reason that this is working really well is it's more translucent and it's giving me a much softer look for my duck fuzz. I've got some caput mortem in here because it's not just straight black. We've got this lighter area and that'll fade into the black and back to the black. Some of this is really dark, so I'll push harder where it's darker and then let that fade out. I'm going to take my purple. Where did I put that pencil that I was bright? There it is. This is the Derwent Lightfast purple. I'm going to put a bit of this in here. I'm also going to pull this around. So if you saw the video we did last week with the tiger, I did something very similar when we worked on the stripes where they fade from the black into the golden tones. I put magenta in between those. And that magenta is going to be my deeper shadow anyway. And I can put this over anywhere where it was black, push down hard, and it'll make the black look a lot darker than if it was just black. I'm really liking this warm gray #1 for making this a bit more dense, just kind of scribbling over what I had so it softens it up. I need to pull that up a bit here. Just push that into the black some. Wade, no chewing at your feet. pull that right under the face here. We've got a little bit of a dark area. I want that black to fade in so it's not just such a harsh line. So just soften that edge. So again, just working on those values. This one is my burnt ochre. I'm going to pull some of this right in here. Actually, I want to pull a little in here too. Not a lot. And look how these feathers curve around. This is really important. These are wet, so they're clumped together more, but the direction they go really matters. They switch and start turning up. And then we've got that deeper orange. I'm going to pull more of the orange in there. And some caput-mortem. Okay, let's start working on some of these other feathers. So I'll start doing some of the white first, and then I can more easily put the black in between them. Actually, I think the grayish tone, that warm gray number 1, will work well. Lots of these little baby feather fluffs. And we've got this light fuzz right along that edge. I'm going to softly go over. It's kind of sketching back and forth. And then the tail feathers start to get wet. Now the only way those are going to look wet is if we get some of these darks in between, make those stand out a bit more. And when you're working on something this small, and this is, I mean, that's not a big size. When you're working on something this small, we're really focusing, we've got some detail, but we're focusing much, much more on our values. Our light's light enough, our dark's dark enough. Not on trying to get every little detail. It is not going to look very good if you're trying that. I'm just going over some of these darker areas with the purple where I want it really dark. We want to create the illusion of a lot of detail, but there isn't room for a lot of detail. Now here has this blue area where the sky is showing more. I don't want to go super blue. We'll get the hint of a blue. I don't know if that's going to show up enough though. Let me see. Let's try. I'm going to go with the mid ultramarine, but if it's too blue, I'm going to go over it with a little bit of a lavender type color because there's no blue anywhere else. Although what would look good is if I pulled, if it'll show up because I burnished, it might not. I pull a little bit on the beak and stuff. See. Yeah, this isn't too blue. This actually works. And I'll probably pull a little bit of this into the water too. Pull a little in here. Actually, his fuzz around his head is not bright enough. When you sit too long in front of something, you don't always notice something that needs to stand out a bit more. Back away from it, take a walk, anything like that. That will definitely help you. Okay, more duck fuzz. I'm pushing a lot harder with this white pencil so it really shows up. Again, watch the direction because they switched directions here from how they were over here. Clump of wet feathers. If you struggle with spending too much time putting too much little detail and you're thinking, well, how do I know what detail to add, what to not add? A good thing for you to start practicing is timing yourself. Get a sketchbook, and you are only allowed to work on something for 15 or 20 minutes. Like in this case, I've got about an hour, hour and a half that I can get this done. And knowing that that is my time, I mean, I've done this so many times, I have a pretty good idea of, generally, I occasionally mess that up, but I have a pretty good idea of how long something will take me. But when you've got a limit on how long you can work, it'll force you to start not being as attention, like we all have a tendency to go too far on the details. More than, and I'm not saying you shouldn't put work in the details, but we have a tendency to overdo that sometimes. And sometimes we need to be focusing more on our values. Are our lights light enough? Are darks dark enough? And if you start timing yourself and do it as just an exercise, a practice, not for like every piece you do, some stuff you really do want to take all the time in the world on, but to kind of get yourself to loosen up a little bit and focus on your values, give yourself a time limit. And just in like a sketchbook, I wouldn't be using a whole big, amazing canvas or big, huge, expensive paper for that. But it's a really good way for you to get used to doing smaller, faster projects and just focusing on those values. So I switch, whoops, broke the lead, to the more opaque here. So that is the Derwent Lightfast. These little feathers go in little rows. They're not just random lines all over the place. They actually are built up in rows. Soften that up. Okay, let's go ahead, actually, a couple more things. Just a little bit more shading in there. So some variation, that's the Caput Mortem. Okay, let's start working on the water. Now, it's not to say I won't come back and do anything else on the bird, but that definitely gives me a place to go. We also have, thank you so much, JL, for the, oh wait, can't say it without the puppies looking, for the super chat. You boys want a super chat? Say thank you, JL. Thank you so much. Oh look, we have to use the razor blade again. It worked really well last time. Scooch. It's like a little guillotine for cookies. Nom. Here, crumbs are thrown on your bed. It gives you something to go look for. Go lay down. Lay down. That's enough. Lay down. Gibson, lay down. Gibson. Today, sir. Gibson. Oh my God, slowest race dog ever. Gibson, down. Gibson. I'll clap my hands. You don't like when I clap my hands. There you go. Someone thinks he can just do whatever he wants now. Okay. So I'm working with what's already there. Outlining some of these with white. Remember, keep them more straight. Like, you really want this to be horizontal to your, well, in this case, tape. You don't want these going at an angle where the lines are like this. We've got a lot of detailing in here. I'm going to pull a little bit of blue into the water too. Kind of outline some of the white. I'm using the Derwent Light Fast because that is more opaque. I want this to really stand out. We've got all these little ripples in here, so it's all a bit different. And these will stand out a lot more when I come back through with all the darks. So let's pull a little bit of the blue. I'm going to go around the edge of some of the white. So I'm not just inventing new lines for the blue, I'm just going around the white, mostly on the underside there. And that makes this blue make more sense. I don't want to just have random colors pop up in one section, because if the blue is only here, the viewer's attention is going to be drawn to the one area where there's one color that's nowhere else. So you want to make sure if you pull a color like that, it makes more sense. So this entire photograph had more of that color. Well, it had more greens, but it had other colors in there when you zoom out and look at all the water around it. I zoomed in, which cut that out, so it wouldn't make sense for me to keep it in if I didn't pull it into this, if that makes sense, even though it didn't show on this portion of the reference photo. What was I just about to do? This area need to be lighter. Okay, now I'm going to come through with, let's see, that's not, parts of it are black, but parts, probably just do Caput Mortem for some of this. Yeah, that'll work. I'll clean up some of these edges with the Caput Mortem. I'm not going to jump to the black yet. I'm going to do this first. Falling off my chair here. Okay, and as I start pulling the black, this contrast between the lights and the dark are what makes everything look so shiny. And I'm going in between whatever I had. I'm not inventing new lines. I'm darkening up the ones that are already dark. Remember, long horizontal, short diagonal. If you do a bunch of long diagonal, it's not going to look very good. This is just all abstract shapes. Again, go for close. Doesn't need to be exact, but I do need high contrast in order for it to look shiny. Okay, for the reflection, this we're not going to put nearly as much detail. We just want the hint of the detail in there. I need that, what was this, raw ochre, burnt ochre, burnt ochre. Raw ochre, is that even a thing? See, like here, it's just more solid. We don't have a lot of detail in that. Tone down that highlight was a bit much. think, again, this is much softer, not nearly as defined as the other. And it's also a completely different angle. This is what I was talking about before. Don't try to make it look the same. It will not look good. This is the warm gray, number 1. You have a shine mark there in the water. This will pull up a bit more. And this one, the darks are not nearly as dark on the reflection as what this guy has. That's also going to help make that look more muted. I'm not going to be pushing as hard or defining that nearly as well. Just getting that hint of where the shadows are. Okay, and then let's see. I can still lighten this a bit more though. And let's work a little bit more on the water. I'm going to pull a few more ripples out over the duck. Just because I think it looks nice. Okay, and I think that's about it. Do I want anything else? I reserve the right if somebody buys this, if I see touch-ups I need to do. Well, I'll be matting it, so I shouldn't have any touch-ups to do. So I've got a few minutes. I'm just going to sit here and look for any touch-ups I might want. So like maybe make some of these circles stand out a little bit more so it looks shiny. Actually, for those, let's pull out my Derwent Drawing Shiny as White. That's going to be really opaque. And I've finished early enough, I can sit here and fuss over little details now. I don't know if I don't always get notifications lately. My phone doesn't like to send me notifications. So I think he's still available with a starting bid of $70. Let's see. Where's my website? This is taking longer than I thought it would, but now I'm on a mission, so I just have to look. Yep, starting bid $70. I think I'll pull a little bit of white or blue under some of these as well. It looks really good. I'm really happy with how this little fluff ball came out. Go on the upper side of some of this white too. I'm loving how this looks, that blue and right up against that orangey brown tone. Looks so nice together. But it's such a muted blue that it's more of a blue-gray. It's not like too in your face. That's what I was concerned with using a blue. I didn't want something that was going to be too bold. And be careful if you do too many ripples over the duck. As cute as they are, you don't want to do so many that you don't really see any of the reflection anymore. It would be very easy to get a little out of control there. Although if your reflection came out like crap, that would be an alternative to fix it and still finish the piece. It's one of the nice things when you do marine paintings. I learned early on, if something was not going right, paint a fish over it. Just hide those mistakes and make it look intentional, finish the piece. I'm pushing pretty hard on some of these to really make that white stand out. Not everywhere, just a few little highlighted areas. I'm really pushing hard with this. Now notice when I sharpen this one, this is the Derwent Lightfast, or Derwent Drawing Chinese White. I'm going to sharpen that. When you have the sharpeners like this, don't sharpen it on the small one, sharpen it on the fat one, because that is going to give you a more like this for a point versus a sharp point. A sharp point is going to break too easy. We don't want this to break that easy. Few more details. Oh, thank you, Patty. 1 second. Let me finish this up and then we will get ready for the signing and matting it. And actually, no, I can just do it real quick right now. Do you guys want a super chat from Patty? Thank you so much, Patty. She said, treats for the pups. Oh, yes. Very good. Okay, let me use my little cookie guillotine. These are the most... Seriously, these are some stale freaking treats. We should complain to Amazon. I mean, I won't because you apparently like them well enough. When did they expire? June of 25, so I guess you have time. Go lay down. Go boys. Down. Thank you so much, Patty. Down. Down, Gibson. Oh my gosh. Wade, stop. Wade, stop. Wade, stop scratching. Wade, hey! You will scratch a hole right through you. I know, sir. You'll make it worse. No scratching. Gibson, down. My dogs are just not obeying right now. What in the world is with you two? Horrible animals. See, that's why you're called a bad cow. Look at Gibson. Not a horrible animal. You're a sweet boy, huh? Yeah, I know you're a sweet boy. I'm lying. I can call you a horrible animal because you don't understand English. Although, I don't know. I'm starting to think he understands everything. So maybe I shouldn't use that word even in jest. Might hurt his feelings. We always joke, we're certain that he used to be a human, that he wasn't a dog, that he pissed off a witch and she turned him into a dog, and he is forever a human trapped in a dog's body, because that dog will look at you and react to things when you're talking that you're like, you look at him like, you let it slip that you're a human in there. You let it slip that you understood what you were just saying. He does it all the time. It kind of it creeps you out sometimes. Just a few more little hairs in here. Gibson is crazy smart. Crazy stubborn, but very intelligent. Bad cow, on the other hand, is not a bright animal. He is stubborn and not very bright. I love him. He's the sweetest boy in the world, but oh my God, that dog does not figure stuff out. He's always so confused. Again, just fussing over little details. This is one of the things that's kind of fun when you have a time. Like you can, in this case, I know I've got another maybe 10 minutes I can keep fussing over it and just perfecting little things. And it forces you sometimes to spend a little bit longer than you planned on something and just make it that much better. Do any of you guys have animals that are crazy smart or crazy not smart, like bad cow? I'm pushing pretty hard to make some of these really stand out, especially if it went over anywhere where it was previously with the purple. Those two mixed together get nice and dark. Great contrast. We used to joke that Echo, one of my Italian greyhounds, that she was not very bright. She wasn't compared to Jessie, my other Italian greyhound, and then we got Wade. I have never owned an animal that was so confused all the time. Like, he just does not understand basic things. And then he panics because you keep telling him to do something. He's like, I don't know what you want. I forgot what that means. He is not a bright one. But I'll be a sweet boy and just rest my head on your leg and keep not doing the thing, right? Or whatever you told me to do. I don't know, maybe he's extra smart for knowing he can get away with that. Okay, a little bit darker, pushing pretty hard, really defining some of this, mostly in the center of these darks. Cleaning up those edges, making them really defined. Oh, this is kind of shaped wrong here. Okay, I think he is good. So now I need to sign him. And actually, let me show you what he looks like, because he is way better in person, as always, than what the webcam shows. This camera shows better. Whoop. So there is the finish. That looks really orangey. The way the lights are hitting it makes it look way more orange than it is. The color was more accurate on the other camera, but this one you can kind of see some of those details a bit better. Oh, he's so cute. I love him. Okay. So now I am going to show you how to mat this. And I need to start by putting these pencils away. Hold on, let me clean up my mess. We're gonna be moving some cameras around. Again, if you want to own him, you can bid on him now. Link is in the video description. Tossing these in here. My pencils are also not organized that well. The thing I'm always saying, close is close enough. Yeah, that applies for my pencils too. They're kind of organized. Okay, let me move this back, do some rearranging over here. Actually, no, I can probably do it this way. Oof. Sure this is clean, and reactivate this camera. 1 second. This is the palette. Okay, so we are going to bring everything over here. I need tape. Where did I put the tape? Not that tape, hold on. Not that tape. Definitely not that one. Do I not have any skinny? There's my skinny tape. So any tape that you use, you want to use the acid-free pH neutral. And I'm actually going to, before I, oops, let's actually hit the right button. There we go. Okay, before I get going on this, the first thing I want to do is take the tape off of the, actually, the first thing I need to do is sign it. So I need to get pencils back out. Come back, pencils. sharpen this. So I need to know where my signature needs to go. So that I'm going to do first. Oops, that sharpener just broke my pencil. There we go. So I'm going to hold that where the mat will fit. I'm going to sign right over here. Okay, that way I'm sure that the signature, because if I would have gone to the bottom line, you can see that would have been cut off. Cat's Art Pick said, is there any history with the previous owner of Wade where there was abuse or emotional upset? Is that why he's confused? No, he's an idiot. His breeder is the same one that Gibson came from. Two totally different dogs. Everyone wants to jump to every dog was abused, and it's just not the case. Some dogs just are born. Jessie was a good example of this. She was actually, I'm going to take a hairdryer before we get into that story. I'm going to take a hairdryer and heat up the tape so when I remove it, it doesn't rip my paper. But Jessie was, I knew Jessie from day one. I met her the day she was born, my old Italian Greyhound. Jessie was such a spaz about everything, afraid of things, panicking about stuff. She was the only one in the litter that did that. And I knew her from day one. I guarantee you that dog was never abused. And everyone assumes that if a dog behaves in a certain way, oh, they must have been abused. Was Jessie abused by windshield wipers? Because I want to know how that happened. So no, they are definitely, I am not one to jump to the assumption of abuse. And especially in this case, Gibson and Wade came from the same breeder. They would have grown up together. They knew each other before I got them. I got Gibson a couple months before Wade, but they came from the same place. They are not litter mates. They're not related. And that's the difference in personality. It's a genetics thing. They were raised the exact same by the same people. That is just black. When you see black and white like this is common in Dalmatians. Sorry, Dalmatian folks. Certain breeds, when we get into a lot, it is not uncommon to have Harlequin Great Danes are notorious for this. They have issues sometimes. They're more prone. Let's just say this. They don't all have issues. They are more prone to having issues. I've seen this. I mean, we used to see this all the time working at the animal hospital. There's so much inbreeding to get certain colors that it just seems to be more common. Pretty sure it's true, but yeah, it is much more common in certain colors and certain breeds and certain whatever. So in this case for Wade, I think there was a little bit too much family loving going on in there. They took that a little too far with these guys, and there we go. So anyway, let's try this. So what this did was just heated it up so that the tape will come off easily. And when I pull the tape away, I want to pull it away from the art. Never pull it into the art, always away. That way, if it starts to tear at all, it tears away and not in and ruins your piece. And I'm still, even though it's warmed up some, I'm still gonna do this fairly slow. The slower the better. I'm going a little bit speedy here, but seriously, the slower the better. And again, away from the art. I have myself, by not paying attention, pulled into the art and ripped things way more often than I would like to admit. Now, luckily in my case, I always am far enough out from the actual artwork that I could just trim the ripped part off and it was not a big deal. But if you were really close to that artwork, you're going to not be happy. Okay, so now we're going to take this over to this area, and I am going to position. Now the mat set that I linked, it comes with each mat comes with 3 pieces. You've got the mat, you've got the backing, and you've got the bag to put it in. So that's going to help protect it. And I am just going to situate him where I want him to be. And then I'll just pull it to the edge and kind of pinch it on the bottom so it doesn't move around a bunch. I'm going to flip it over, straighten that a bit, and see if it still looks good on the front. It does. And now I'm going to use tape. Again, you want pH neutral. Don't use just any masking tape because it will cause the artwork to yellow anywhere where it's touching over time. because it is acidic and that's not good. Oops. Make sure that's laying flat if it starts to bow up like mine was. And I'm going to flip this over and double check that it's still where I want it to be. Yep, before I go too crazy. Taping everything down. I'm going to tape all of the edges, or all sides, I should say. Okay. Now I'm going to take some, you want to use a tape that's made for photos or for like scrapbooking. It needs to, I'm using double-sided, and it has to also be pH neutral. And I am just going to put pieces around that all the way. Oops, that's kind of, hold on, let me grab that handy razor blade I was using for the puppy treats, just because I don't really want that tape sticking over the edge. I'm just going to trim that tape off. Okay. I'm tape happy. Anyone who has gotten anything from me knows when I package things, I make it difficult to get it out of said package. But we're going to do that, and I'm just going to push around the edges a little bit more and then peel up. This is the extremely exciting portion of watching me remove the backings of these. Come on. Oh. This one doesn't want to let go. Oh my gosh. So if I push it a little bit on that corner before I peel it, it's usually going to be easier. Normally, I don't have to fight with it too bad if I do that. This time is making a liar out of me. There we go. Come on. Let go. There we go. Okay. So that is all trash. And now I'm going to take the backing. And I just tap them so they're lined up. And then push that down. And now he's all matted and nice. Make sure that's clean and that no pastels got all over the mat. And then we can slide him into his plastic bag, and he is ready to go. Well, I mean, I have to actually pack him, but... And these freaking pieces of tape. If Rob is watching, he knows this annoyance. This just, it sticks to everything. It ends up all over the house. Matt, with anyone with comic books, when you do the bag and boards and you bag up your comics, those friggin' pieces of tape, the backing of the tape ends up everywhere. Like, it's very staticky, sticks to everything. There we go. And now this looks so much nicer when the person gets it than, wait, it's upside down for you guys. It looks so much nicer when the person gets it because it looks complete. All they have to do is pop this in a frame now. It's not that it's hard to mat something, but most buyers would rather not. So if it, as complete as possible is going to be ideal. So there it is. Okay. Tea and then answer questions. So good. Green tea, decaf green tea. Okay. Oh, this guy, it looks like is getting a home. We've got bids. Oh, allergies are kicking in. I drink the local raw honey, and as soon as I take a drink, that's when my allergies suddenly are like, nope, we're activated. My throat just started itching. Okay. So Discord has not been giving me notifications at all lately, which is getting really bad. Okay, here we go. Stephanie, how do you blend acrylic paints nicely? So I have a video using a fine mist sprayer. Same thing as this. This one has Spectrafix in it, but this is how I blend acrylics nicely. I don't like mixing mediums, slow drying mediums, all of that. It gunks up the paint. You're not going to have a good time. I don't know anyone who uses those and their work looks how I want mine to look. Like if you're doing something more loose, more impressionistic, sure, maybe. But for how I work, where I'm going for a more realistic look, fine mist sprayer, just water. Water is all I need. And I can keep things wet for hours, which gives me time to blend everything out. The other thing is Liquitex Basics. They dry slower than everything else I've used, like Liquitex Soft Body, Liquitex Heavy Body. They dry so freaking fast that it makes it harder to blend. Everything's just more difficult with them. I don't like them. I like Liquitex Basics. And it's funny because I started with Liquitex Basics when I was younger because I was poor and like I could afford 2-3 tubes of paint. That was cheap. That's what I went with. Luckily, that was before the days of generic paint. Otherwise, I probably would have got stuck on that crap. But my techniques kind of evolved around Liquitex Basics because it's what I was using. Now, luckily, the colors I'm using light fast, so I don't have to, like, quality is fine. But yeah, that is, I'm grateful that I didn't jump into, because I have a tendency now, if I can afford, like if I get into something new, like I get into watercolor, I'm going to get, like I got Sennelier, so it's one of the more, Sennelier? Is that what I got? I don't know. I got one that's more expensive. Or is that just the oil pastels I got? It's that too. I don't know. Same. Well, we'll use oil pastels as an example because that was the Sennelier. That one, I got one of the more expensive brands. I didn't jump into the cheaper ones. And I think with acrylics, if I would have jumped into one of the more expensive ones, I don't know if I would have loved acrylic painting as much as I do. I just like Liquitex Basics. They don't dry as fast. They work great with water. Because they dry more matte, I can get my charcoal pencils to show up over them when I sketch things on top. Like it's just, yeah, so that the paint will make a difference is the point of that. If the paint is drying too fast, it just makes things a lot harder to blend. But even in that case, still a fine mist sprayer and just water is the best thing you can do to get, or an airbrush. If you've got an airbrush, you can just mist water. That's what I did before the fine mist sprayer. There's something in that. I clearly did not clean this well enough when I painted last night. But you are dirty, sir. My gosh. But anyway, you can mist with an airbrush water as well. But the fine mist sprayer is very inexpensive and it holds a lot of water. So it's just easy. This is what I typically use now, even though the airbrush is sitting right here. And I do have a video showing you, what did I call it? It's on the front page. If you go to lachri.com, or no, I'm sorry, youtube.com/Lachri, it's the one with the raccoon on the front. It should be on the front page of my profile here on YouTube, and that'll walk you through that. Karen said, I have a question about tonight's tutorial. Years ago, I bought hundreds of Prismacolor pencils. Could I use them as the colored pencils? Yeah, you can. You've got a few things that you'll run into some challenges with Prismacolor. One, they're not all light fast. Actually, I'd say that's probably my second. One of the top two, maybe they're tied for issues for me, but they're not all light fast, so that sucks. But the other issue is that they break like crazy. Like you look at them wrong and they're like, I broke again. You're trying to sharpen it. I broke even more. You get halfway through the pencil and it's still like, I'm just going to keep breaking because this is fun. And that's like the nature of working with Prismacolors. So I always love the people who are like, well, you're not sharpening them right. It's a pencil, and funny that no other pencils that I use give me such attitude when I sharpen them. Only Prismacolors. So it's like, those are kind of going to be your two big issues with Prismacolor. But that said, that doesn't mean you can't create stunning, beautiful, amazing work with Prismacolor. There are amazing artists who only use Prismacolor. So those are just things to keep in mind, but absolutely you could do this with Prismacolor. Let's see. Susan said, can the pastel be accidentally applied too thickly where it can affect the colored pencil application? Yeah, I think if you go too much, you just keep reworking and reworking and reworking. It is certainly possible. I think Dolphin Soul keeps finding this out the hard way. It is certainly possible that it hits a point where your pencils are just like, yeah, there's nothing for me to stick to. So yeah, yes. As you saw when I worked on here, I was not putting it on that thick. Man, this guy is cute. Like he's looking, now that I haven't looked at him and you look at something, he's really cute. He's upside down now. Yeah, because he's a reflection bit. Yeah, that is. I'm quite pleased with him. I was a little bit concerned because that was a lot of little floof that I could get it done in time, but yay. Okay. Whoops, that just jumped. That jumped a lot. Okay. Tiffany said, do you have a favorite media? Yes, I would say acrylics are my favorite, and then I love everything else. But yeah, acrylic paints are probably like my go-to. If I was going to paint something for my, well, partly, honestly, and this is what really got me moving more towards acrylics. Well, that was sick of Prismacolors breaking. I didn't know about Faber-Castell back then because this is before the internet. I'm old. But I loved that with acrylic paints, I could just paint the edge of the canvas and I didn't have to frame them. And I was so poor at the time. Like buying frames was not an option for me. So I'm like, I can't sell my stuff at a gallery or show it at a gallery if it's not framed, so I really lean towards acrylics. But even now, like when I paint something that I want on my own wall, it's normally acrylics because I don't have to get a frame for it. So that's an added bonus. But yeah, acrylics I would say are probably my favorite. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to give up any other media. I think if I was working with just one, like if only I did acrylics, I think I would get very bored. Karen said, with the buildup of the pastel, do you ever have trouble getting the pencil to stick or go over it? So yeah, that goes back to what Susan had asked. Same thing. Yeah, you definitely, and Dolphin Soul is proof of this, where she put so much pastel that the pencils just were not sticking. So yeah, do less. You can always go back and put more pastel over the colored pencil later if you're like, oh, I wish I would have put more. You probably don't need that much though. Linda said, what is a subject that would be good to paint in a looser style? I've had some skin cancer removed from my arm and will have to paint with my non-dominant hand. I'm sorry you're having to go through that, and I'm glad you got that taken care of. And I also friggin' love that you're going to continue with art anyway, because that is exactly what I would do. Landscapes. I think landscapes are so... because they're forgiving. You don't have to have, like, I would avoid buildings in the landscapes because you're gonna have a harder time getting those straight edges. I would avoid anything man-made, but like looser landscapes, stream or a road, maybe not a road because you're still going with a looser style. Landscapes, definitely. And I've seen your landscapes. You're good at them anyway. So this is gonna be great for practice for you for getting that looser style. So I hope you heal fast, but I love that you're going to keep painting anyway. And I can't wait to see what you do because your work is awesome. Okay. Moikey said, would pastel pencils work as well? Yeah, absolutely. I don't work with pastels myself because they're dry and chalky and that freaks me out because I'm a weird person. But absolutely, you can do this with pan pastel or with normal pastels. That would be beautiful. Flaming in the Moon said, for your highest Patreon, it states that you get coloring pages. Would you please tell us about these examples? What a great time to plug Patreon, Nick says. I just pulled a politician and I'm like reading the quiet part out loud, right? I did it on purpose though. I didn't just say pause. So anyway, yeah, like 5 of you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so the coloring pages, I actually have one that I printed and I want to do this to show you. I need to get some of these done for you guys. Let me see. I have one in here. So with Patreon, with the different rewards, you get different tiers, you get different rewards. And one of them is, I believe for the 2 top tiers, you get coloring pages with my artwork on them, and you can use them to, just do normal, like light coloring, or, where is it? Because I just had it the other day, and it reminded me I needed to do this. I have one printed. And you could do it for Inktense. That's what I want to do as a lesson for you guys and show you what you can do with them. Oh my gosh, why can't I find it? I know it's in here. Just like everything else, I clean and I organize and then I lose it. Well, I may have to give up on showing you. So what I'm doing, before I was doing these heavier outlines, I don't know where it is. I'm gonna have to find it. But I was doing these heavier outlines of coloring page. But now I'm printing it. I'm using Photoshop to take it and have you can shade over it. I really wish I could find that right. Oh wait, I could just pull one up off Patreon and download it. Hold on, I will show you guys what these look like. I'm not logged in. That might be a problem. Am I logged in? Yeah, oh no, I am. Okay, let's just scroll. Let's find a coloring page. It's been a while since I uploaded one because I didn't think anyone was using them. That's why I was going to do the lesson, so you could see what cool, fun things you can do with these. And I printed it, and now I need to find it, because it's the cuttlefish that I'm going to do it with, was the plan. And I will do Inktense over it. So you can print this on watercolor paper, which is what I did. Oh my gosh, how far do I have to scroll? Apparently forever. Oh, I found some reference photos I needed to delete. Oh, and I had, while I'm looking for this, I had somebody suggest something genius. They, was it Susan, who suggested, what if for the top tier of Patreon, you guys get all of the, there they are, all the, yeah, let's get you, clownfish, coloring page, sample, sure. You guys will get all of the old, or all moving forward. I don't know if it'll be all the old, because that's a lot of photos to find. But you guys, where normally I delete photos once you've printed them, they're deleted. You guys would still at the top tier have access permanently. So if you didn't delete them on time, because people forget sometimes, you would still get them. Why aren't you letting me download this? Come on, load. Or my internet could die. I mean, I guess that's good too. I like that. Okay, save. And let me load this over my face, so you can see what this looks like. So this is one of the tiers for, where did you get downloaded to? That is a weird, I don't know why you just, why did you do this? This doesn't make any sense to me. Why you, oh, that's why. Hold on, I screwed something up here. I'm trying to do this as the wrong thing. I'm not. It's just trying to, oh no, that's just me being dumb. This is a user error issue. And I don't know where that downloaded. Downloads, here we go. Oh, that wasn't even the right thing. Sigh, I'm just wasting time. Hold on, one more thing. At least it downloaded right this time. And I found it. Hooray! Okay, so this is one of the coloring pages. Well, it's part of one of the coloring pages. It's kind of having some issues at the moment. There we go. So this is how they're printed. And what I would suggest people do is print it on watercolor paper, and then you can go over it with watercolor, Inktense, whatever. It's just a fun, like a more relaxed thing to do instead of doing the whole like start to finish project. If you're just in the mood to do something artsy, you can print one of these pages. There's so many of them available. My original plan was to delete them after that month, but I haven't been uploading them every month, so I just left them all up there, and now you guys can have access to all of the past ones too. There's a lot of different ones, and you just print it in whatever medium. Go over it with colored pencil. It's just kind of a fun, more relaxed way to go versus starting a project from scratch if you just wanted to be artsy without like doing a whole huge big project. So that is what the coloring pages are. They're one of the rewards. And with Patreon, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to over 400 lessons now. I've been uploading these lessons since 2014, so almost a full 10 years. At the end of this year, it'll be a full 10 years. That's why there's so many. It's not just that they're crappy. It's that they're like, there's a million lessons, so it's like dollar store. No, it's that I've been doing it for so long, there's more lessons. You're gonna get more than you're gonna get anywhere else. So tons and tons of lessons, and I've gotten better at making these lessons as we've gone on and trying to include more stuff that you guys like. So trying to make those better all the time for you guys. I'm currently working on, where did I put the one? I'll show you. A current one is a links. If you're on my email newsletter, you saw the one that I'm working on right now. It's a, where did I? Well, I lost him. There he is. It's a Lynx in colored pencil. Oh Lord, I am throwing everything on the floor. Oof, I'm too old to bend over. Come on. Don't fall out. Close the door fast before everything falls out. So this is my current project. It's an airbrushed background, but the Lynx will be in colored pencil. Oh, the lighting in here is showing. showing this way too orange, but that is going to be very, very detailed. This is a big project, so it's taken a bit to get this one done, but that is one of the ones coming up for you. So even if you don't have an airbrush, you would still be able to follow along because I have other videos showing you how to get the bokeh look for the background, or you could leave the background white. The entire links, start to finish, the links is all colored pencil, so like no airbrushing on that. It was just the background. So anyway, yeah, for as little as $6 a month, you get all of those, and then depending on which tier you're on, you get different rewards. You get reference photos, you get a postcard and greeting card sent to you, or it's not even a greeting card now, it's a mini print and stickers, like tons of supply, or tons of rewards. Go to lachri.com/Patreon to see a breakdown of everything, or just patreon.com/Lachri to actually sign up. Okay, back to the questions. Rick said, Lisa, would you recommend spraying fixative over pan pastel piece, or would it be better to protect it by putting it in, oops, that just jumped. Come back, Rick. Putting it in a frame behind glass? Both. You need to do both. You want to put a fixative over it, and that's going to help this to stay long term, because if you just put it behind glass over the years, that pastel will start to come loose. You'll notice that on the frame, and no matter what, even when you seal them, over the years, you will start seeing a little bit of pastel dust right on the edge of the mat. And that's even if you spray it. If you don't spray it, it is definitely going to be shedding some of that over the years. So just to keep it more like sealed down so it's not falling off the paper, then I always use, well, I use Spectrafix because it doesn't darken it at all. Some sprays, some fixatives I used to hate using them because they made everything so dark. You had to always go back through and get your brightest highlights in on top of after you sprayed it. It was a mess. Spectrafix, not a problem. So that, and it still needs to be framed behind glass to protect it. Great question. Let's see. Have I ever covered how to show depth in a painting on my YouTube channel? Actually, so it's not so much depth, but the video I'm working on right now, it's actually going to be talking more about values, but that is part of how you create depth, and it's one of the things I'll be talking about a little bit. But I think I want to, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm having a hard time separating what the video is supposed to be about and going too much into depth. So, because it kind of can cover both, but I'm trying to keep it more simple. So yes, that will be coming for sure. Another one really, I'll be talking about it briefly in this video coming up, but it's, yes, something I need to cover more. I mean, I talk about it anytime I'm doing any sort of landscaping or anything really that creates depth. So I talk about it all the time, but like specific, just that's the only topic. No, I haven't done that yet. Marie said, what is the difference between pastel, soft and hard, pan pastel, and what about oil pastel, and how do all of those play with colored pencils, wax, or oil? Okay, so regular pastel, soft, hard, I don't use pastels much. What is soft pastel? I'm thinking the pastel pencils. What's hard pastel? I don't know the difference. One's softer than the other. I don't work with them because they gross me out. The feeling on my hand, the chalkiness, I can't handle it. I've got issues, I am aware, but that's the reason that I don't use them. It's a beautiful medium. But those, they're very chalky feeling. End result, beautiful. They're gorgeous. I'm not a fan. They make a mess. Dust ends up all over the place. Like everything about them is just not a fit for my neuroticism. So there's that. But pan pastels, they have an oilier feel to them. They still go on very soft. They've got great color saturation, but they're almost like when it gets on my hands, it doesn't gross me out. It doesn't have that dry, chalky feel that soft or hard pastels do. I don't know. I can't give you the detail difference there because it's been so long since I worked with them. I don't even remember. I mean, obviously one's going to be harder than the other, but I don't know. Like, I think there's more than that, but I don't know. Colored pencil works fine over any of those. As for, let's see, what about oil pastels? So oil pastels are completely different. This one is oil pastel. And actually, let me show you. I've got another oil pastel over here. Oil pastel I like better for stuff that's a little bit more loose, kind of a more impressionism thing. It's not really very easy to get good detail with oil pastels. They're big. This one, see how I went big so that I could get the detail in there. And with this, I used a tool to scrape out a lot of the details in the feathers. So it's thick. And even now, if I run my hand across this, I did this months ago, it's still wet. It will always be wet. Like oil pastels never fully dry, although there is, Senlier makes a spray. This one's also oil pastel. So they make a spray that, like, see, it's not really coming off on my hands. A little bit, but not much. If I do that on this one, it hasn't been sprayed yet, and it's been, like, not years, it's been months. That will come off on my hands. So that's kind of it's very weird. You can go over oil pastels with colored pencil. I'm not a huge fan. I don't get the best results with it. It's just kind of, I don't know, I'm not loving it. What you can do, which is pretty cool with oil pastels though, is use odorless mineral spirits or some sort of paint thinner type product. And I use the Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner. And you can put, you can blend things out with it, or you can almost paint with it. So I can scribble on a piece of paper, take my odorless mineral spirits and like a smaller paintbrush, lift some of that pigment onto the paper and actually paint with it. And that is my favorite way to get detail with it. But it's a very, very different way of working. And there's not nearly as many videos on working with that as there are other mediums, because not that many people really, not as many people use it. It's a completely different experience than your softer, dry pastels. But I would say as far as colored pencil working with them, they work much better with pan pastels or with your soft pastels. Let's see. Patty said, can you use pastel matte over velour paper with these techniques? Can you use pastel matte or velour? I did not read that right. Can you use pastel matte or, not over, or velour paper with these techniques? Velour, pastel matte, yes, for sure. Velour, I'm not sure. I've not used it, so that I can't say. Vellum, I would say no, because if it's like, in case that's what you meant, it typoed, it could be, I don't know. Anything too smooth, it's not going to stick to. So you want something that has a little bit of grip, and that's why pastel matte should work fine. Let's see. Rose said, would you ever do an artwork with just the Derwent drawing pencils? I have, actually. Wait, did I use anything else, or did I use just Derwent drawing? It was Margay, who looks like he has an attitude. I think that was it just Derwent drawing? I want to say it was. Maybe I used a couple of extra pencils, but I think I've already done that. Cat's Art Pick said, it's so nice to hang out with artists that are experienced, positive, and helpful. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you. IR said, any plans for future oil pastel paintings? Funny you bring that up. I don't want to say I don't have plans, but like now that when I was looking at them, I'm like, my brain's already turning like, what do I want to do next with that? Right now I'm focused on this colored pencil piece, but yes, I do want to do those again soon. Have you gotten a hold of the Faber-Castell Pitt Graphite Matte Pencils yet? I have not. 1SGWW said, have you tried asked if I use those pencils yet? I have not. Aquashella on is it the 18th and 19th, I believe, of May. If you are in the Dallas area, you can get tickets now at aquashella.com. It is an aquarium and art festival. It's got all fresh saltwater, tons of everything, and a lot of artists selling stuff. So you got fun little things in there. And occasionally, I don't know who's on the vendor list, but sometimes there'll be different reptiles there or things for your reptiles. It's where I got my cute sign that says Bearded Dragon for the front of Dragon's Cage. So that is coming up in May. Aquashella.com. If you want to get tickets, and you can come hang out with me because I get very bored. Let's see. I end up sitting there at my booth by myself watching everybody walk by. Let's see. Brittany said, can you please do a video or some video showing how to create different types of metal, gold, silver, bronze, rust, and colored pencils And colored pencil? I started one. Okay, story time. What time is it? Oh, I need to hurry my story time. I started this, was going to be this week's lesson in Patreon. And I know that when I work on hard edges, I need to work flat. I cannot get the movement, where's the other one? Clean. I'm going to show you my embarrassment of the week. My lines are not clean if I'm not working flat, but I can't work flat because of my back and my neck. I'm like, oh, I'll do these rings. It'll be fine. So I started this one, little gold colored pencil, watercolor base. I was like, I'll just do this little one. And I hated it. And I realized, you know what? It needs to be bigger because I wanted to get more detail in the reflection of the gold and the shine and all of that. So I did it bigger. And then I hated it bigger. And just more hate. There was so much hate involved. And I was like, you know what? This is not good enough because my lines, and I understand what was happening with the lines. This is what happens when I work upright at an easel. It's fine on other things, but when I'm doing man-made things that need straighter edges and, you know, the curves like that, I have to work flat. I just cannot work, which means recording it is kind of out the window too. So I gave up and decided I was not releasing that crap to you guys. That is not worthy of it. So that's why I was like, I'm going with like advanced, like something. This was supposed to be a quick one night, you know, couple hour project. And because I was trying to do it at the easel, and I know my hand won't work, it just will not work at the easel for getting those curved edges. So I decided to jump into a much more advanced project than that. And that's why we're getting the links. But yes, I need to do the metal. The problem too, with colored pencil for it is if those lines are at all fuzzy, it doesn't look like metal. It needs to be super, super clean. And that was not coming out clean the way I had it. So there were a few problems going on with that mess. Yes, I need to do another one. It's not going to be rings. It can't be, I need to do something, obviously it needs to be man-made, but it can't be, I can't have that many straight lines because I can't do it at the easel. It has to be flat. But my back and my neck give me the finger when I try to work like flat where I'm looking down. I can't. I have arthritis that's really bad in my back and my neck, so it's just not even an option for me. So I tried it at the easel on Monday night. Massive failure. I pinpointed what, and I knew what was going wrong. I mean, I was like, well, I'll just put more time into it. And it was like, I can't clean these edges up. It just not, I had already messed them up so bad. There was no fixing it at this point. So it was just that, yes. And that is why we are now going to be doing a much, much more advanced links than I was not planning on an advanced colored pencil piece. I was planning on something a little bit more beginner, something that was real quick, and it did not go well. So it happens. But yeah, so that was the plan. I need to come up with something new so I can make that happen for you. Not those rings though, let me tell you. Dolphin Soul said, you mentioned using a light board for tracing. Do you have any recommendations? Any of them, whatever's cheap. I used to tell you just get what was like Hobby Lobby because you could use the 40% coupon, but they got rid of that and still charge up the rear, so not from them. I would check Blick, or Amazon. Honestly, anything cheap. That's not something you need a super expensive one. And here's the thing with the light box. Unless you have a printer that prints really, really big, you don't need anything bigger than a little tiny tablet because you can move the work around as you're tracing over something. There's no reason, because you're having to trace something you printed. And then again, if you don't have a big printer, you're not tracing, like there's no reason to have a big light box. It's actually worse to have a big light box because it's so bright around, it makes it hard to see what you're trying to trace because it lights up the room because paper isn't covering all of it. So get smaller and cheap, honestly. Just read the reviews on those. I don't even know what's good anymore, but they've gotten really cheap. Don't get it at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Can you please do okay, I got that one. Jessica said, I sent you the coloring book on Instagram. Okay. Is there another way I can send you those photos outside of... I saw that. I don't know why you sent it to me. That sounds horribly rude. I'm not sure. I don't know what I was looking at, honestly. Like, I have a feeling we probably talked about it in a live stream, but I saw that on Instagram and I was like, I don't know what you want me to do with this. I don't know how to respond because I don't remember what we're talking about, which means I feel kind of stupid because I don't know what it was in relation to. So I got them. Good job. I don't know where to go with that. Fly Me to the Moon said, would you be able to sell the digital coloring pages individually, maybe on your website, and we could buy the download? Maybe. I'll have to think about, I don't know how to do that easily. Like, it's just so much easier to have everything on Patreon. So I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, technically, you could just upgrade your plan for 1 month. Like, I don't know what tier you're on. If you're on a $4 tier, you can't get back to $4. You would only be able to go down to $6 after that. Because I know some of you are still legacy members from the old pricing. So, but if you went up to, I think it's the $14 tier, if you did that for 1 month and then you can download all your images and then the next month go back down to your $6 tier, if that, I don't know what tier you're on, but you can go back down to one of the previous tiers. I'm telling people how to like get away with getting extra stuff, but it's an easier way for you to get all of the previous stuff without, because I don't know when or how I would get that set up to sell digital items. I know it can be done. I just don't know how or how long it'll take me. So that's probably the easier way to do it for now. Karen said, could you please do a tutorial with colored pencil and OMS? I'm actually working on that. The links Not the background, but the links himself will be colored pencil and OMS. Now, if you mean for a live stream, probably no, because it's too time consuming. Like I just can't get it done in a live stream. And I know I used to do the live streams with that, but it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 800, and no one watches because there's too many parts. It's just too slow of a medium. So I really can't do that well on a live stream. That's why there's certain mediums you'll see me do. Acrylics I can do fast. If I do colored pencil over pan pastel, I can get that done, or charcoal. Even graphite, I can't get done that fast. Like, it has to be something I can do really, really quick. And colored pencil is the slowest medium. Colored pencil with OMS is the slowest medium I work in. So I don't have anything planned, unfortunately, for live streams that. But for YouTube, I do have, or not YouTube, for Patreon, we've got this links that will be week, 2 weeks probably. He's a detailed one. That's gonna take a lot of time, and he will be in OMS. Oh yeah, and it was for the live stream, you said. Yeah, I can't, unfortunately. There's just no way I'm gonna get that done. I mean, we might be able to like get a sphere done. Like, it takes so many layers and then sit and let the OMS dry, and then so layers and layers and then let it dry. It's definitely too much. Let's see. Joseph said, you need to have someone design a desk that lays down so the desk part floats above you, so you're flat, not the art. I don't think that would work either for me. I think I'd be back in the lopsided ring land of things. Fly Me to the Moon said, could be very profitable. You could sell individual lessons to non-patrons. You know, and Patreon had an option where you could sell individual things, but they took a big cut, if I remember. So selling the digital stuff, I also had wanted to sell packs of all the old reference photos and never got around to it. I need to figure out how to sell digital items. But I did like I want to say it was Susan, but I could have that wrong, and I apologize, suggestion of anyone, like the top tier, the $19 tier, or I think you're 21 now. The old 19 was the old one. Anyway, the legacy tier. But the top tier would get all of, like, the photos don't expire before you download them. You can get all of the previous ones. So I kind of like that. We'll see. Let's see. I think I am caught up. I'm just looking through. Ditto on what Dolphin Soul said. What did Dolphin Soul said? Do we want to know what Dolphin Soul said? Okay, we got that. Yeah, don't get it expensive. I actually did a review years ago on a light box, and it was just a cheapy Amazon one. It was great. It was actually better than the one that I used to spend. I think I had spent $100 and something on the original one. It was really good. Let's see. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everybody for the super chats as well. The boys definitely thank you. Luckily, they're out. They're matching in how they're laying. But thank you so much. Make sure to check out our moderators' channels. The links are in the video description. Clark Fine Art and Joseph are regularly having live streams. Definitely check out their channels. It's a lot of the same people in chat here, so if you like to talk to everybody while you watch another artist work, definitely fun. Check them out. Nick hates editing videos, but occasionally he'll upload one, and it's really good. So you definitely want to check that out. Oh, yes, and I have new merch. Check that out as well. LachriMerch.com. We've got the fun artist. Do I have one on here? I do. We have the new artist sweatshirts. This one was Artist Noun. It's someone who wonders if their paint palette secretly judges their color choices. That one, and there's another one. I think the other one was something about Artist Noun. Someone who wonders if they're, wait, what was the other one? A magical creature, something about being there's coffee involved. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head, and I apparently don't have that on here right now. I don't know. I need to load both of those on here. Anyway, I like the hoodies. I like the premium hoodies the best. Those ones are my personal favorite, but they're so soft. They're so nice. And thank you guys so much. I will see you next week. Next week is going to be, hold on, actually I have this planned. I can tell you what next week is. It is, hold on, I sent Dolphin Soul a message with it. It is a guinea pig that is going to be in colored pencil and pan pastels again next week. It is a really cute guinea pig. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you again. Bye.